You need me to kill a spider?
I'm trying to get it. It's like at a really weird angle over the weight.
Excuse me, I have to go be a hero.
They want to eat me. They try to kill me.
Alright.
My hero.
I can be your hero, baby. Van Morta slides into chat on Twitch. These sides of my sketches always end up all mucky because I'm drawing. I get graphite on my fingers and then ends up over there. I'm trying something a little different. Usually I do the whole illustration at once, including all background and foreground elements. This time I'm going to try doing the main thing, doing all the highlights on it, sealing that, and then doing the sky afterwards. KB Man, hello, welcome to Twitch. Says love your illustrations. Quick shout out from my Mother's Day brunch. Awesome. Thanks for shouting out. Have fun with Mom. My Mother's Day present to my mom is working really hard on the illustrations for the book that we're working on together. So I've got two primary ways that I've started doing my highlights. Because I made myself a sketchbook with toned paper. It's only about, I'd say maybe 20% toned gray. But still, highlights stand out pretty well. I'll show you an example. So these last couple of pages I just did with this guy, Jelly Roll. It's just white ink. You can see the color. Can you see it there? Yeah, you can see how lighter it is than the paper. Hold on. I really should have spent some time organizing my work area, but I slept in longer than I expected to. Dottie, hello! Dottie and Rini over on YouTube saying hi. Rini says, I spent a few seconds trying to wipe that spot off my monitor. Uh-oh, is there a spot somewhere on my camera? Or are you talking about on my page? So these are sealed, you know, where I spray a coat of sealant over it so that the pencil can't rub anymore. No, wait, have I done these? I don't think I have, because I just finished this Broken Arrow illustration. Anyway, this is my favorite way to add white. It just, there's a little more infrastructure involved. That, you know, usually I'm working on this in meetings, or like last night I was at a Twitch event, and so spend a lot of time just sitting around, so it's a great time to sketch, but it's not a great time to have a little thimble of water and a gouache tube. I guess this is just artist's watercolor. I'm not honestly sure what the difference between gouache and watercolor is. I learned it at one time about 25 years ago when I went to the Art Institute of Seattle, and they told me once, and I was like, oh, that's the difference, and then I hardly ever used them again, and I forgot. AJ, hello Aletha. Thanks for stopping by on Twitch. Sounds out of sync on the Twitch side. Okay, good to know. Yeah, I switched back to my laptop because okay, I'm gonna cover my mouth when I talk, so on Twitch you can't tell that my voice is out of sync. Yeah, I switched back to my laptop because my friend is going to take my streaming computer away and get Windows 10 on it. I thought it had Windows 10, it does not, and that's what it needs to get this nicer camera, or is it this nicer camera, to actually show up. For some reason it shows up on my laptop, which is running Windows 7, so that's super weird, but one of the requirements for using the cam link is that it needs to be Windows 10. And so I'm hoping that if I get Windows 10 on that machine, then I will have the best of both worlds. I can have my beautiful camera running and not be out of sync on Twitch. That's the big hope. Let's see if there's a... Maybe I can get this guy a little closer. That's a shadow. Let's not have a shadow, shall we? And then that's really distorted. Okay, I know I can figure this out. I really need a better arm for this guy. One that allows me to pose it better. So one thing that the jelly pen does not let you do is fade your highlights very well, which watercolor is much better at. This is supposed to be kind of set in clear resin, like there's a hand statue inside a bubble of resin there. The other thing I'm curious to see is if I still have bandwidth problems like I've had the last 2 times. Since I'm using a different computer, that will help figure out if it's a computer problem or something I have to call Comcast about and sit on the phone for 3 hours and probably not get a satisfactory solution. This thing right here, in case you're wondering, is a flute made from a human femur, which is a thing. In the book, it's a musical instrument that a character that Bowmark runs into has, and furthers Bowmark's suspicion that he's a monster. But in their culture, it's how they respect their elders. They have flutes made from their father or grandfather's bones, and that way their life kind of continues, and with the music they make with it. Alita agrees that's a good use for bones. Grimalkin, hello friend. Grimalkin popped over on the YouTube. I was looking into yet another layer of software that you could run OBS through that will let the chat from, say if I'm streaming on both, the chat from Twitch would appear on the screen. But yeah, I'm still debating whether or not to move all my streaming exclusively to Twitch. I would be able to upload video the stream onto YouTube 24 hours later. So it's not like that content would just go into the ether. Everyone on YouTube could still see it, but they couldn't participate, which would bum me out. On the other hand, Twitch has this option that lets people subscribe to you for money, and it would be pretty foolish of me to pass up enough money to warrant further expansion and such. I'm trying to build a platform that is robust enough, i.e. makes enough money that we can advertise the books adequately. Turns out advertising costs a lot of money. Who would have thought? But yeah, the amount of time and creative energies that my mom has put into writing these books with me, I really need to honor that as much as possible, and that may mean that may fall down to switching all streaming to Twitch. On the plus side, if I can convert some people like Dottie, for instance, to switch over to Twitch, she's going to discover a lot of new amazing art channels over there that she may not have otherwise seen. Downside is, yes, then you're creating yet another thing you got to log into, yet another profile, blah blah blah. And that's a pain in the butt I do not wish on anyone. I like being able to just kind of, if a highlight's a little too bright, I can just dab it away with my finger. Wouldn't it be nice in life if you could just dab away all terrible things with your finger? Although then I'm sure someone would have dabbed me away a long time ago, so maybe I should not wish for that. Malkin on YouTube says, this sucks because it's way too early and I've been up for almost 3 days now. Hashtag insomnia, and I'm only now getting sleepy. Thanks, Brain. Hey, Grimalkin, you know what? This will be uploaded as a video, so you can always watch it later if you absolutely need to see me paint every little dab. Grimalkin says, what is that tool? A mini eraser? I need. This guy, is that what you're talking about? Yeah, it's an electric eraser, and it's super cool. This, however, is a paintbrush with white paint on it. It says, anyway, I'm sorry, my dude, I need to sleep before my brain changes its mind. Oh, it's paint, duh. Yeah, you need to get some sleep, Grimalkin. Get out of here. Shoo, shoo. Can't bring this camera because I'm streaming with it right now. On rough wood, this little white jelly pen does a pretty good job. Like, look at this little grain texture that I got here. Oh man, really? That's gonna show up? Stop it. And you're not gonna focus. Why are you not gonna focus? Let's see. Help. Huh. Yeah, one of the points of this camera is that you can tap on the screen and it focuses, but my son's been using it a lot, and I'll bet he's changing the settings in all sorts of crazy ways. Oh, and look at that. Excellent. That is not what I wanted at all. Whoa, weird. No. I mean, there's this camera up here, if you want that one. It's the Canon. It's digital. No. Well, yes. I guess technically it was Mom's. She just has been using it. Alright, I give up.
That's a spirit.
Do you want it? You want
Yeah.
me to? Okay, well, I'm going to need to grab it because it's hooked up in crazy ways. 1 second, everyone. Stay attached. Here, hold this.
Ooh, that's hot.
Yeah. Oh, because it's got that light blasting on it.
Hi guys, I'm Josh's son. You may know me from things such as other things he's done on his channel.
That's right.
Yay.
Guest starring Shane Foreman.
I'm the terrible actor that threw him on a table, I think. Is that in something yet?
I don't think that's really in something yet.
Oh. Well, there's some spoilers.
But you do have a channel you should plug while you're here.
Oh yeah, guys, go subscribe to Shane Foreman.
There you go.
There you guys go. Enjoy.
There should be a battery for it somewhere around here. Is it that one? It's a thick one. Yeah. Aletha on Twitch says voice and music balance is perfect. That's good. And maybe I think, but at least I'm perfect. If you can survive making a Twitch account, if I can survive making a Twitch account, everyone else can too. Probably, that's probably true. Van Morta said, I survived by working outside my home. Tears, tears. And Aletha says, yep, I am way in the red with how much I spend on ads versus how much I make from ads. But right now, it's about being seen as a tiny author grain of sand in the writing beach. Yep. And Aletha says, hi, Shane.
Oh, hi, Aletha.
Okay. Sorry, I need to figure this out. Why is it not... Okay, this is supposed to zoom. Look at that. Okay, there we go. That's more better.
You have an automatic flash?
Yeah. Good luck getting it to ever work. We got it to work once.
I'm in photography class. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, well, if you can figure it out, more to you.
Yes. Conquer the world. Never find that camera battery.
Did you find the camera bag?
The battery, but it's not charged.
Oh. Where's the display button? Nope, that doesn't help. Oh, that made it worse. Come on, just make all the display go away. Why is that box there? Why is that little box there? Trying to make that look like a little bit of a pool of blood, but no, that'll have to be done. One of the funniest Googling encounter or experiences I had recently was I did a Google for desiccated carcass for reference for this, and it kept showing me all these, you know, there were a bunch of regular results, desiccated carcasses, but in addition to that, there would be all these products you can buy with images from your Google search. So it'd be like a mug or a pillow, like a couch pillow with this like mummified horse or whatever on it. It's pretty hilarious. Dottie says, Shane is in that video where you get to beat up your dad in the driveway. Oh, yeah. That was Shane's video. I didn't co-star, I was a guest appearance. Oh, and Shane is shouting that Ape Man will be back. Probably in the next Avengers movie.
Replacing Captain America because I found out how much of a loser he is.
No, replacing Captain America?
Yeah.
Nice. Well, a bunch of the Avengers did dissipate into ash.
Whoa, Dad!
Oh, right, spoiler.
Jeez, you're a monster. If I was you guys, I would unsubscribe from you right now.
Yeah.
Just for doing that.
Okay, so what do I want to do? Oh yeah, here's a place where I tried to do some smooth fade with the pen, and it's like from a distance, and when it's blurry, it's pretty successful. But I can make that better just by blending with the brush. Oh, or maybe not. Okay, so the water is pooling up and not smoothing, and that is undoubtedly because I sprayed the fixative over this page already. So it looks like if I want to do highlights with paint, I cannot do the fixative first. That's annoying because, you know, the longer these pages sit in my sketchbook without being sealed, the more blurry and you know, you can see how dark it is in there compared to like the white of the page up here. Just because the pages, they rub together when you move the sketchbook and smear the graphite. So there's always pressure to get in there and spray the fixative on there. But clearly the downside is then you can't do nice smooth highlights. So I got to do the smooth highlights, and that just means, okay, I've got to make sure I bring the sketchbook home with me. Then I have to dedicate some time to doing what I'm doing now to it. It's way easier if I can just use the pen out in the field. Right. And now I can't turn the page and start working on the lighthouse until this dries. I mean, I can, it's just going to press the paint onto the other page. Ivan, hello! Ivan, do you have a Twitch account? I'm doing an informal poll. Go out of focus a little bit. And then if I do this. No, don't do that. I don't want you to ever do that. Just stop doing that. Why will it not? So, okay. So there's two little rings. If I touch this one, everything is ruined. And I don't know how to really get out of it except press the back arrow. Oh my god. I hate being incompetent at tech, but I don't know how to learn tech. I could learn one particular thing, but I don't understand people who just like intuitively grasp how to do things on a computer and on a camera and on a tablet and on a cell phone and a car stereo. Like, there's just all these areas where technical competency is so incredibly helpful. And if I learn one of those things, which, you know, I have from time to time, it doesn't translate to anything else. I have no idea how to make this stupid camera do the simple things that I want. And I don't even know how to learn. If I try to Google things, it almost never talking about the exact camera I have. And if they are talking about the exact camera I have, they're talking about something just slightly different than what I'm looking for. I don't know if there can ever be a solution to problems that people like me face. Ivan does not have a Twitch channel. By the way, video and sound do not sync. Oh, they don't sync on YouTube either. That's interesting. Okay. I wonder if that's because of my Restream IO thing. Because my CPU usage is doing just fine. Are you still looking for the battery thing, Shane?
Yeah, battery charger, battery pack.
You looked on that power strip? No, it's not there. I mean, it certainly exists. We've used it many times.
I don't even know what this camera is. I was talking about Mom's like one that she gets possessed with.
I think that's the one.
That is? I thought you could flip it.
No, that's the new one I bought. That's why I've mostly just been using it as a overhead cam for when I do tutorial videos. Look, and that stupid blue thing is just on now. Delightful. Is it because I'm on manual focus? Does that make it go away? One thing that hadn't occurred to me until I started illustrating this lighthouse was back before electricity, a lighthouse would have to burn wood or oil. That had occurred to me. What had not occurred to me was, oh, that would make a lot of smoke, wouldn't it? Seems like lighthouses would have been like a huge pillar of smoke as well, which I imagine would be great during the day to help mariners find ports. But when I designed this lighthouse, I designed it so it's got these slats that these top whatever they are like up above so that the smoke can come out without the rain coming in. I'm trying to remember if I actually Googled medieval lighthouse or ancient light. Yeah, I did. I tried ancient lighthouse and it was all just, you know, illustrations of what they think the is it the lighthouse at Alexandria? Whatever the big wonder of the world lighthouse was. And I did not find an answer to my question about smoke. Again, going back to this theme of me being bad at Googling and understanding how to find or access information. There's got to be something the way a brain is organized that just makes it intuitive to people that it is not to me. Which is very frustrating when I'm trying to build a platform that requires a ton of technological savvy to accomplish. And I'm just constantly floundering and frustrated as I'm doing it. I think I talked about this last time I was doing highlights on the stream. One of the things I've learned over the years is that highlights, especially bright ones, are way less consistent than you expect them to be. And that probably has to do with the differentiation in the imperfections in materials that are used in almost everything. And I'm talking about mostly natural things like on creatures and, you know, stone buildings and stuff like that. It's different once you talk about industrial things like cars. there the highlights and stuff are a lot more predictable because they've been machined and waxed and polished. And but yeah, when doing older stuff, you actually want to be really almost inconsistent in how you apply your highlights. Which doesn't mean make it so it looks like there's different lighting sources or inconsistent lighting sources. That's still important, but like every once in a while, skip one of the tiles on there. That's all I mean. Make some of them just like way brighter than the ones around them. When it comes to old buildings made out of stone, that stone came from a quarry, and a quarry is where there's a relatively consistent mineral profile to all the rocks there, but it's only relatively consistent. There's a lot of things that play into how the chemicals are distributed in a layer of rock, and so they're never all going to be exactly the same shade and hue and consistency. Kind of wanted this idea that inside the lighthouse is the lightkeeper's home. When Bowmark washes up on the shore, he gets really sick and feverish because swimming through the cold ocean in a foreign land is gonna do that to you. That is one of the aesthetics of my fantasy novels that most lack, which is you think about those sorts of things, and in my opinion, they make the story more interesting, less like a video game or a movie where it's just a power fantasy or whatever. It's like what sort of things would really happen if you went on an epic adventure through a fantastical lands full of monsters and stuff. Even without the monsters, what sort of things happen? And that's where real-life travelogues like Lewis and Clark and Voyage of the Beagle, and just during the 1800s was kind of a golden age of that kind of literature where, well, I guess it's literature. It's literally like journals of people going out and exploring these areas and writing about their adventures. Yeah, there's a lot of misery and downtime and sickness that go along with grand adventures. So I think it's interesting to infuse a little bit of that into fantasy novel. This is a box full of wood for for burning at the top of the lighthouse, and I figured they could carry it up inside, or they could have a winch, a pulley system to pull up pallets of wood as well. I might go in with my gel pen and just like pop a few of these areas. Like I've been doing very watery washes of the white, which is great for making subtle highlights, adding volume to the picture, but it is very subtle. Sometimes subtlety is good, sometimes you can be too subtle. Ivan's asking if I've played the new God of War. I have not yet. I'm currently playing a borrowed copy of Far Cry 5, and after I'm done with that, I'm sure I'll borrow God of War from someone. Does look like it's got some very pretty environments, though. Thinking I could do this kind of grassy, bushy foliage stuff better with a pen than I can with a pencil, because with a pencil you have to draw around all the little leaves and tufts and stuff, but with a paintbrush just paint over a dark background and boom, there you got your little thing. It's like far fewer strokes necessary. I don't have all the practice that Bob Ross does to just use a particular paintbrush and just like dab it at a certain angle to get the perfect look of a fir tree or a bush or whatever. Maybe someday I'll get there. Ivan says, God of War is one of the best looking games I've ever seen. Also, could you lower the music a little bit? Just a little. Sure. Sure thing. There you go. Yeah, I'm very timid with my paint strokes because I do not have the experience to know where and how to apply them for maximal goodness. Painting has never been a strength of mine. I like doing it on 3D, you know, on sculptures. I like painting sculptures a lot more because then you're just trying to recreate a certain, like, texture or color. You're not having to worry about perspective and shading and color, you know, like how a color would look in this shadow versus that. I don't know. I guess some people do like really illustrative stuff on miniatures. I don't particularly like that style. I like it to just look like a realistic thing, whatever that thing is, whether it's leather armor or chainmail or harpy wings or whatever. You know, you want your realistic harpy wings. Is that so much to ask? Dottie on YouTube says, I think it's looking amazing. Thank you, Dottie. The important thing to me is that it looks good enough to give the impression that there's a big, exciting world yet to be explored and discovered through this series that we're writing. As long as it communicates that, I'm happy. Yeah, see, there's times when I'll like accidentally jiggle my brush left or right, and I see this like this little little jag that gives the impression. I can get that in a way that, all right, I'm gonna try it one more time. It's not gonna work and I'm gonna get frustrated. Yep. Prophecy fulfilled. It didn't work and now I'm frustrated. Anyway, I'm getting these little things here and there, and every once in a while a little like happy accident will happen and I'll think to myself, aha, and that gets filed away in my brain pan somewhere of like, do that little particular jag with the brush more often, and then I'll do it again and it won't work, and then my brain will be like, that's weird, it worked before, and then I'll be thinking, oh well, that's because of the context or the particular angle of the slope that it was on that made it look right or whatever, right? And so you just fill in your head with all these little heuristics as you work, and that's how practice makes you better at stuff. So your brain's just doing all this little functioning that you aren't even necessarily consciously aware of. You just start building up a library of happy accidents and how to apply them and when to apply them. I think I'm wanting to keep most of the bright white highlights on this side of the rock because I want to give the impression that the sun's coming down this way, and so this whole area is kind of curving around away from the sun, so I don't want the highlights to really pop over there. I want it to just kind of fade into, you know, there's reflected bounce light or whatever. I'll probably put a little bit on this corner here because this is jutting out far enough to catch some of that light. Yeah, at times I take little stabs at actually, so I think there's like everything's a spectrum. Everything in the world is a spectrum. I was about to say there's like a big difference between illustrating with the paint, where you're actually modeling, you're perceptually modeling the terrain and saying, okay, there's a shape here that is catching the light this particular way, and I'm doing that with my paint. Versus, I've already drawn out the topology, I've drawn the modeling, and all the paint is doing is just grabbing little highlights to emphasize the modeling that's already there. There's probably a word for what I'm trying to say, but I'll take little stabs at doing the, now I don't even know if it's the former or the latter because I bounce back and forth so many times, but one of those things, the one where I'm really truly making a perceptual difference of what this thing you're looking at is with a brush stroke. I'll do that every once in a while. 80% of the time I do it, I fail. I don't achieve what I hoped that brushstroke would achieve. 20% of the time it works. Again, that's just that practice thing. That's what practice does for you. Practice is mostly about failing. You just gotta fail fast enough and repeatedly enough that you start accruing those little micro successes, and then those slowly start building on each other. And when it comes to illustrating, especially with paint, I'm very relatively new in that arena. So you're seeing the, like all my little flailing attempts and stuff. And I think that's important for everyone to realize that it's not like you monolithically are just good at art and then you can do all arts awesome all the time. Like, I think I'm good enough at sculpture where I can make cool sculptures. I'm confident in my ability. Like, if I think of a thing, I can sculpt it. And that is a great, empowering feeling. I do not have that feeling when it comes to illustration. Which is why I would opt to actually sculpt everything for this Tales from Talifar series, but that would take 100 years. So I cannot. Ivan says, what are you going to do with that drawing? It's going to be an illustration in the second book of the Scarred King trilogy. That should be coming out probably near the end of the year. We'll be publishing it. And believe me, you will know all about it, because that is all I'll be talking about. Because we've spent years and years and years and years developing it. You guys, most of your comments will be, please Josh, please shut up about the Scarred King, please. Alright, I think I feel like I could continue to noodle with it for another couple hours, but I, have literally hundreds of illustrations that I'm doing, so at some point I just have to say, this communicates what I needed to do, especially given that the vast majority of people who see this image, they're going to turn the page, look at it for approximately 1.5 seconds, turn the page again. So, man, it's so great to have that as a filter that you can flip on as an artist to say, what is the purpose of this piece that I'm working on, and how do I calibrate the amount of time spent on it to match that? It's also balanced with the need to create enough perceived quality that when people are going through it, they're not just like, I don't even know what that, scribble is, or did they like hire their 8-year-old daughter to illustrate this? Trying to avoid those kind of impressions, but also not spend so much time that I just can't ever get this done. That is actually a worse case scenario than having people think that my 8-year-old daughter illustrated it. Alright. I'm gonna set this aside. Another general rule that I found is helpful in almost all art is get to the point where you feel like you're mostly done, set it aside and come back to it in another day or hours later. Where can I put this where it'll be safe? Over here. Alright. We're getting so close on this one, you guys. I had an idea. One thing that's really upsetting me about this piece is the compromises that I had to make to make it mold worthy or easier to mold. You can see here's all the previous attempts at casting this smaller one, and this one's not even worth looking at, but oh, you can see here really well the casting method that I was trying to do with it. In this one I had it set upright so that the resin pours in through this reservoir and then like fills up this way, and the idea is that would help get all the little tips of the dreadlocks, and it doesn't. Here's one that's a lot closer. This one I poured in this way and it had a ton of sprues. Do I have an example? Here's a sprue. So you can see how the tip of each of these, and I want to say there were probably at least 30 of them, has a little sprue going up so that when the resin fills it, it will actually get to the tip of all of these. Like, look at this little flyaway dreadlock right there. It's great. It looks amazing. And I wanted to have 20 or 30 of them because they make the piece more dynamic and realistic looking. This one has most of them intact, but the amount of pain and anguish required to get them to that point is just not a workable long-term solution. So I went back to the ZBrush model and I smooshed the hair down considerably so that it would be less fringes poking out. Oh, it's my stream starting to stutter. I'm seeing yellows and reds. Yeah, okay, so my idea was, hey, I could make just a couple of dreads that come off of him and just cast them separately and socket them into place. That's not too much work, assuming the sockets work well and you're not doing a bunch of like cleanup work where they go in. So I made a rubber mold. I have a video about making these kinds of molds in my Sculpey 101 series if you need to refer to that, by pressing it on an existing one. So I have this texture, and I was thinking what I could do is add, I don't know, maybe 2 off of this side, maybe 1 off of this side, just so the profile is more interesting. Like, it's just very, it looks like a light bulb right now. Not happy with that. Ivan on YouTube says, well, Josh, I wish you good luck with all your projects and good luck in life, maybe in bed. That counts for all the people here, and now bye. Bye, Ivan. Thanks for the well wishes. Yeah, so in order to attach other dreadlocks, I probably am going to want to drill into this and create very clear sockets to do that with. So, in fact, I'm going to, do I have a, this should work. Thinking this looks like a pretty natural spot to socket one in if there was a hole here, because this dreadlock does this kind of curl up and over. And there's already this depth in here, so that will just accentuate the depth, which is what you know, I'd be aiming for. I could also make one of these kind of stick out from the face a little bit, not cling to it the way I had to do. You can see in this one, I've broken off the parts that flew away too far, but you can see that they stick out a bit. And I would love to get some of that back. So if I probably the one that frames his face is the best one to do, because that's the closest to the eyes, which is the focal point, and so you're going to get the perception that everything behind there is doing a similar thing. So I think this one I'm gonna have a little nubbin come out. This I'll have like a longer one, and then on this side, thinking if I had one coming out of here that kind of went out like that. Something so that, because for the book cover, I think it's going to be about this angle, and it'd be great. Let's see. Imagine my finger is a dreadlock. You know, just had a little bit of something like that to help balance, to break up that profile and show, yes, there's more hair back there, guys. Trust me, more hair. No, that's not the real thing I'm trying to communicate. I'm just trying to get away from this look that everything is like plastered to his head, because that's pretty much what I did. All right, now I'm trying to think of the best way to drill this. I think I can get it started with hand drill. In theory. Just gotta find the right angle. I feel pretty good about having three additional dreads. That just seems very reasonable. Even if I did 50 of these guys, the amount of time it would take to add the three little guys, just a little dab of glue, you stick it in, maybe some minor touch-up, but because it's already very like noisy hair, by noisy I mean visually noisy, I don't think that I'll have to do significant seam work on it. Totally out of air. Okay, I'm gonna grab a drill. One sec. turn this power down a little bit so I'm not blasting at it. There we go. Now, since the piece is actually hollow, you can see inside there. I'm gonna need to fill that in for sure. Trying to think if I need to do that before I make the little plugs, or if I want to make the plugs, get them positioned, and then I'm thinking because it's way more important that I pose the dreadlocks in a pleasing way than it is that I have the little plugs back there set perfectly. I should probably do the posing first and then work the plugs, reverse engineer them from where the dreads are. Alright. And doing the dreads, I assume will take probably 2 sculpting sessions, because having a 3-dimensional object that has good texture all around it and is posed nicely is almost impossible, because wherever, you know, you're going to use your fingers and that's going to squash it or whatever. Although since they are going to be, I'm assuming, well, maybe I should not assume that they need a wire core. Actually, I'm going to try without a wire core first. Just because when you're trying to do a little noodle out of soft material that's on top of a hard material like metal, it can get frustrating because you're trying to pose it, and then finding that the metal is resisting it, so you're squashing into it in ways that you don't want to. Oh, did you notice I gave him eyebrows? I did a couple more passes on him since the last time. Almost have the little hand medallion done. I got the corners of the mouth cleaned up, so now they're not old and weird looking anymore. The eyes, I think, I'm pretty happy with them. The only detail I think left to do is to make his scars a little more prominent. Yeah. Now I'm wondering if maybe I want to not do any texture at first and just get the core shape figured out. I think it won't hurt to try for the texture and then just just give it up if it's looking like it's going to be compromising the flow of the hair that I want to achieve. Okay, so I think this is making me wonder if maybe I want to just, like this guy, I'm afraid is starting to look like a big mutton chop sideburn, which is definitely not the look that I want. And I'm thinking if I'm doing one coming out here, I can, if I shave this one off completely, I can have two that are just kind of pulling off, two for the price of one essentially, to where this could be going out like that, and this could be going out like that, and it would just be one piece that I have to cast. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. Alright. I can't remember how easily this stuff carves. We're about to find out. Where did my X-Acto knife go? I hid it from myself. Darn you, myself. So because I mix that stuff, I have just a little bit of residue, and I just know I'm gonna grab the face somewhere and it's gonna stick on there and then require like 2 more sanding and priming rounds to fix it. Dottie says, I find sculpting the eyes to be super challenging, for me at least. Yes, eyes are very challenging. I mean, especially human eyes, because, you know, we all have been looking at eyes our entire life. We know when they're just a little bit off. And then on top of that, the just like micro changes to the angle of the eyelids and the muscles around the eyes can change the perceived emotion or attitude of the character so powerfully. Yeah, it's definitely one of those kind of hair trigger things that, yeah, just comes down to that practice. You just keep fiddling with it, and your muscle memory will start to pick up the things that it needs to do. The really nice thing, now that I have a 3D printer, when I'm doing the next bust that I need to do like this, I can actually just sculpt it the way I want in ZBrush and then cut it up into separate pieces. Like I'd be able to have these dreadlocks, you know, print them out all ready to be cast as is. So really looking forward to the next piece I get to do with all these, with the experience and learning I've had on this so far. pose this in the way I want it on the cover of my book, so I can kind of want them looking right at the camera-ish, or maybe middle distance past the camera. I think my tendency is to do them both kind of blowing back a little bit. But I don't know if that amount of redundancy is good. One went. Nah, I don't want it to have a tangent parallel to the jaw. Yeah, actually coming. Yeah, that's having this little area. See this little dark cavity there? I think that's really good to have for the depth of the hair, and then having this break up that jawline is nice. And then this one can be more of the kind of blow back. And I guess even if this is curving back a little bit, it's not, as long as it's not at exactly the same kind of arc as that one, I think it works. But these are way too fat for right now. Okay, so if I wanted to texture this, I take it and I roll it around in here. What does that give me? You could also even squish it a little bit. So that does seem to capture that texture really well. Great. It's also important that it blend into the rest of the dreadlock. Wonder if I could actually just add a blob on there. Did you ever find the batteries, Shane?
No. Mom says it's a really cool place.
That what?
Mom says it's a really cool place.
What's a cool place?
I don't know, wherever we're going.
Oh. Have you tried moving that box, all the boxes in there?
Yeah.
Picked them all up and looked under and in. Okay.
Yeah.
What's that other battery thing by the tape there?
Yeah, I looked. This doesn't do anything to it.
But what is it? Let me see it.
It is a wasaba. Some Japanese.
And what's the battery for the camera? It's a 3 thing, right? Yeah. Oh, 4? No, this is for this camera. What's for that camera? Let me see.
Yeah, it's this thing.
It is also 4. Okay. Let's also want to see if that has any power. It's always super obnoxious. Definitely dig through that box because that has all the AV stuff that I think we might sometimes use.
Well, this is full power.
Nice.
Hard drive right there. Just go to it.
It's quite possible I can just let this set up in place on the face as it is. And then be able to pull it off. It might break a little bit when I pull it off there, but I'll have the shape down exactly as I want it, which is the important thing. Bassberg! Oi, oi, oi! Hello, how's it going? Just doing some hairstyling. So I get bonus points if this additional dreadlock covers the seam between the bottom one, because then, you know, one less seam to have to worry about cleaning up. Yeah, it's definitely feeling more dynamic than it was. I wish, let's see, trying to see if there's a part on the stamp that I can press into there without kind of wrecking the flow like that. See, that just totally wrecked the flow. That's okay. What if I just did a really thin skin and just put it over it? That might work. Take this, lay it over.
Still pregnant and probably get high off drugs.
Okay.
We're going to the trail.
Alright. Have fun.
Okay.
Vestberg on Facebook says, it's a bit late over here. Just hopping by for a few minutes. Cool. Always good to have you here. Yeah, I think that'll blend in quite nicely. much better. Just not having this big blob like pushed into the side of his face is so helpful. And this one, I want to, let's see, come out like that a little bit. I'm not quite sure how long I want it to go because where it breaks up the silhouette of his cheekbone can either be cool or awkward looking. Like when it was right here, the first place it poked out, you know, depending on the camera and stuff, is like, you don't want it coming out right under his nostril. That's just gonna look like a worm's coming out of his nose or something. So I think I want it to come down. Get my hand out of the way, break up that visual field. Don't want it to look like a headset. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just too distracting to have it at all. Maybe I don't want to break up that. It really depends on, like, if you're seeing any of this hair back here, then I think it's helpful to have this to kind of ground, like, continue that flow. But if he's rotated this much and you don't see the hair on that side, which I think my current illustration, you don't see any of this hair back here. So I guess the safe thing is just make it so you're only going to see it protrude from the silhouette if you're also seeing this hair. Seems like a pretty straightforward approach. I like straightforward approaches. Aletha on Twitch says she likes it without the hair bit. Yep, I think I'm agreeing with you. No hair, little bit of hair. No hair, little bit of hair. Yeah, it's no good. It's no good protruding if you're not also seeing this part. I wonder if I did something totally different and had it like doing a little macaroni bend. What is that? Nope. Nope. Nope, nope. Silly. But it's important to experiment. Actually, now that I think about it, you know how I did this double two-for deal over here? I could do the same thing over here and hang another one off of it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm totally gonna do that. And this one I can get a little more crazy with it. I'm doing something like that because you're not gonna see it there, but when you're seeing it at other angles, it's really helpful. Well, right now these are like identical length. I don't want that. So I may make this one, actually, here's what I'll do. I'll make this one the lower one. Aletha says, I had to entertain guests for a while, so you were muted, and then I glanced at the screen and exclaimed, ah, Josh is putting holes in Bowmark's head. And Janae asks why, and then adds, wait, no, he's muted, so we don't know why. You'll never know. I'm not going to tell you. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave these two set up as they are, and then I'm going to have to come in and, like, you know, add the right amount of texture in the right places. But yeah, I think I feel a lot better about it having those on there. I was feeling like the big one, you know, I've got the little one and I've got the big one, and I was feeling like the big one just seemed compromised, and that's not right. Like, this is supposed to be a premium product here, you know. This is like the thing that the diehardest of the diehard collectors would get, and if it's not something I'm like super happy with, that did not sit right with me. So yeah, it'll be a little bit more work for each one that I produce, but yeah, there's certain like quality levels that I intrinsically have in me, and I will not be happy or comfortable if I don't hit those. Now what I'm doing on the bottom of this one is I'm sculpting the plug because I'm going to be casting them like this, so resin's going to be pouring down in here, and it's going to be like the resin is going to fill to around here, but there needs to be enough rubber between the edge of the mold and there to where it's not going to be flimsy and easily falling apart. Letha says, as soon as they're for sale, I want to buy one. Excellent. They're going to be $1 million. Did I have a sale? Did I just become a millionaire? How about an IOU? And when you become a billionaire author, you'll pay me in full. That sounds like a fair exchange. How many millions make a billion? Is it 1,000 millions? 10,000? 100,000 million? No. I'm so bad at math I can't even move decimal places. I'm pathetic. Once I went to Mexico, and gosh, it was probably 15 years ago or more, and you know, it could not be simpler. The exchange rate was literally 10 to 1. It was 10 pesos to $1, or maybe 100 pesos to $1. It was, whatever it was, you know, so simple. All you had to do was move the decimal point in a certain direction, and you could know exactly what it should be. Every single time I wanted to buy a shirt, I'm like, let's see, so it's, you know, it would be like 200 pesos should be $20 or something super simple like that, right? And I kept not doing it right. I have the same problem with time zones, where you know, there's 4 time zones in the US. So if someone's on the East Coast and I'm on the West Coast, I need to count 3 hours difference. They're 3 hours ahead. But because there's 4 time zones, it just can't work in my head for some reason. It is a serious cognitive deficiency. What changed? Why can't I just press the thing and make it do a thing anymore? just want you to autofocus like you used to in the good old days when I first bought you. What is this stupid mode? Oh my god. The problem is I keep letting my son borrow this camera and take it to school and do his projects with. And it's a really foolish thing to do because he is not the most responsible of people, and on top of it, it comes back with wacky settings and I don't know how to fix it. And it's like, I spent $1,000 on this thing so that I could have the highest quality streams possible, and because I'm like, well, I really want my son to, you know, learn AV stuff and it's something he enjoys and I want to support him in that, here's my $1,000 camera, go do whatever and bring it back with settings I don't understand. Yeah, Shane should get his own camera. You know, he's about to graduate high school. He better get a job. I would love for him to live with us until he gets the kind of self-education he needs to land some kind of AV job, doing editing or photography or something. I hope he can do that. But he has to be responsible and progressing towards adulthood for that to be a viable option. We are not going to be the parents who just let him, you know, have a perpetual childhood and never grow up until it's too late. But as long as he's doing things that are, you know, he's got a job, he's being respectful, that's a tough one, he's making progress towards some kind of goal, then I'm very happy to help support him in that by giving him mostly free rent. I'm going to make him do video game assets for an indie game I want to make, but that should help him towards his educational aspirations anyway. Alright, are we good here? Good-ish. I'm gonna need to do even more cleanup on this. It's amazing how many times I revisit things. That the more I do molding and casting, the more it informs the rest of the process, and I just keep having to do more and more and more steps. That'll work for now. Where are we at? Just over 2 hours. I really want to make a little bit of progress on my little, this is all the thingy McDeely. I think a good place to start is putting water. I want to put silver where all the water is, and then I'll put blue over that. So hopefully it'll be a little bit reflective. Silver. And then I need the itty bittiest brush ever. Is this itty bitty enough? Some of those rivers are going to be impossible to get in without getting... Well, I guess I could get the silver in and then wipe it off the edges. Let's see, what breaks down this stuff? Of course, it's never written on here and I can never remember. I think it's odorless mineral spirits. Yeah, isn't this thing incredibly cute, Aletha? Okay, let's see. If this is the proper thinner, then if I put some silver on a stick, dip it in odorless mineral spirits. Yeah. Looks like the right stuff. Okay. Trying to think if I need reference. Probably should, otherwise I'm going to miss something. Like, I do not recognize this little spot down here at all. Here's the Lost Woods. You go down in here. I don't think that's water. Alright. I'm gonna need to bring up El Mappuccino. Let's see, got it in. Art. Projects. This is all the stuff. Come on, where's my world map? There's dungeons. Ah, here we go. Overworld. Let's see. Let's put on our display capture. Doop. Let's turn off our slideshow. Okay, so it looks like the water is... These blue things are not water. These are ladders. Water, 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 water over here. Some up here. Okay, that's good to know. Little pool up there. That's a waterfall. And then the river goes out here. Okay. Wait, there's... Oh, yeah, and a little fairy fountain over there. And a dried fairy fountain there. And that's just a little bit of woods. Okay. Look at this. This was either in the instruction manual or a Nintendo Power. That is super adorable, man. When I saw that as a kid, I was just like, ah, so great. All right. Alright. So there's not that much water in here. One amazing thing about this True Metal paint is how far it goes. Like, I loaded my brush once and it's just like still going. It's a wax-based paint, which the theory is then you can polish it to make it super shiny. And man, I wish it worked that well, but what happens if you have it on a three-dimensional surface and you're polishing it is the thin parts, you know, where there's high spots on sculpture, the paint just rubs off, and then it's only shiny in the depths, the cracks. You can see my full review of this if you look up metal paint comparisons on my channel, my YouTube channel. I don't know if you can see, but I got a little dot of silver paint up there. But I'm probably going to get a lot more when I do this. For this little stream, which no one will be able to see anyway. I don't know why I'm bothering. Okay. Oh, can kind of see it. Can you see the sheen? Maybe if I hold it this way. Yeah. It's there. Take my word for it. This little waterfall and a little pond up here. This is, I believe, where you get the upgrade to your wooden sword. There's a little cave right in there. And I think there's a lionel up there as well. This little kind of liony, kind of dash hound looking guys who shoot swords at you. Oh man, so much silver around the edge of that one. Okay, so I'm gonna try to get rid of all the silver on my brush and just use it as a scrubby pad to clean the silver off of the edges. And I'll bet I could even go in with another brush. Yeah, finish the job. Dottie says, time for me to go. I'm bringing my mom some cupcakes for Mother's Day. Have a great night. Bye, Dottie. Say hi to your mom for me. Say Happy Mother's Day to her. Because you would forget to say Happy Mother's Day? No. I do not yet know what I'm going to use for the blue to go over this water. It needs to be something semi-translucent, obviously, so that the silver will shine through. In fact, saying that out loud is a great reminder that what I should do is put a little bit of the silver on a test surface so that I can try a couple different blue paints or inks or whatever to see what'll work best. I think I have some translucent blue ink. That'll be perfect. We'll see. So everything, let me double check my image. Let's see, I got that lake, yes, that river, that water, the beach. The little lake, the big lake. Oh, I did miss one right here. Another fairy pond. Okay, that, the river, and that pond. Yeah. Alright. Got all the water in place. Letha says, a downside to only having cats is that they do not bring me cupcakes. What? You need to train your cats better. Erasing some of the silver that got up on the edges here. Just evening out a few uneven patches. Okay. Let's see, what can I use for a test thingy? Guess I could use the bottom of this. Look how much that stuff spreads. It's crazy. All right. That's good, that's good. I think we're good. We'll probably do that ink first thing on the next stream. Oh man, look at all that silver that's oozing out of there. That's no good. You guys should go and like my Facebook page. If you go to Breath of Life Art, search for that on Facebook and like that page. That would be super cool of you. You can also go to breathoflifeart.com and check out all sorts of different crazy art. I've got all sorts of info about the stories that this guy is in. And yeah, I think that'll wrap it for today. Thanks for coming out, everyone, and visiting me while I putter around in my garage that is now finally getting warm. I finally don't have cold toes today. How great is that? It's super great. Yeah, if you live in the southern hemisphere, sorry, Australians and South Africans and New Zealanders, etc., etc. But man, I'm so happy it's finally getting to be summery. So, have a good day, everyone. See